Today's topic is about 5 reasons that you go limp during sex, and more importantly, how to fix it. Hi everybody, it's Dr. Sam Robbins, and if this has ever happened to you, please know that you are not alone. I guarantee this happens to every guy at some point in their life. Now, what's important is that you fix it as soon as you can so it doesn't get worse. And the problem doesn't get worse because whether it's physical or even more so an emotional issue, it's not good for your self-esteem or your partners. So let's get started. Now, the first one is hormones. Yes, hormones always plays a big role in getting and maintaining an erection. And no, it's not just about having high testosterone levels, as what a lot of people will tell you. It's more about having optimal hormonal balance between your sex hormones. This includes, but not limited to, male dominant hormones such as testosterone and free testosterone, as well as DHT. Second being female dominant hormones such as estrogens, progesterone, and prolactin levels. And finally, stress and adrenal hormones such as cortisol, adrenaline, epinephrine, and so forth. Now, I've done lots of videos about this topic, and I've also given natural solutions. So make sure you take a look at the specific links below this video in the description area after you watch today's video. Now, another major problem are negative thoughts. And this is a big one because it has to do with having those negative, self-doubting dialogue that you have in your head. For whatever reason, this can cause anxiety and the release of stress hormones, which will then vasoconstrict and therefore reduce blood flow. Now, you're having sex, you may start thinking, am I doing this right? Or am I big enough? Or does she like this? Or why did she say this or do that? Or so on and so forth. Or I don't know, all these weird thoughts come in our head. And when this starts and you start to, soften up, you immediately freak out. You start thinking, oh no, I'm going limp. And then your adrenaline and stress hormones really increase, which makes this whole thing 10 times worse. No amount of Viagra can undo the damage stress can cause to your erections. Your body's very powerful, okay? And this typically happens when you really like a person because you care about what they think. So my suggestion is to remind yourself that you're already having sex with her. This means she likes you. She wants you, all right? You're already, in. Be happy, be in the moment, enjoy how it feels. You don't need to think about any of your insecurities at this time. Everything's good. We all have them, including women, all the insecurities. Of course, if all else fails and things aren't working, because, it's a muscle we need to improve this negative dialogue, then just focus on her and give her an orgasm with your tongue and fingers or toys or whatever you want. This gives her pleasure, and then it takes the focus and pressure off of you and your erection. So it's a win-win situation. The next big problem are drugs, and there are lots of drugs that can cause erection problems, both street and prescription drugs. I'm going to quickly list some of the more popular ones. The first one is alcohol. Yes, alcohol is a drug. You may have heard of the term whiskey dick. Simply stated, alcohol screws up your hormones and neurotransmitters. So do yourself a big favor and try to limit it as much as you can, especially around sex. Next set of drugs are SSRIs and antidepressants. There are many of them. They're prescribed for all sorts of reasons, but typically for anxiety and depression being the main ones. Then we have ANTI-ANDROGENS. Now, these are drugs such as finasteride or dutasteride, which are used for example, hair loss or prostate growth. And they lower DHT levels too much and for sure cause erection problems and decrease of sex drive. Then we have blood pressure drugs. Lots of blood pressure drugs can cause erection problems. Then we have uppers. Anything that can increase adrenaline can cause us problems. And this includes stimulants, amphetamines, too much caffeine, nicotine, cocaine, and so forth. Then we have downers. Downers are just like uppers, but they're just as big a problem. And this includes pain medicine, heroin, or even marijuana, anything that lowers, your drive. And then finally, we have antihistamines. And believe it or not, antihistamine drugs are problematic too. Typical ones are Benadryl or Tagamet or Zantac are just a few. Again, there are many drugs. So do yourself a favor. If you're taking any medicine or drugs or whatever, do a search online, read about it, and then speak to your doctor about alternatives. The next one is boredom. Listen, boredom can kill the excitement of anything. We all crave some variety when it comes to sex. Men usually need a little more variety than women. It's just a genetic and biological thing, all right? Now, this is typically a problem of longer term relationships. The boredom sets in. I'm not saying to go cheat, not at all, but you need to start creating some variety in the bedroom. So my suggestion is get creative. There's lots of things you can do, such as new positions, doing it in new places, using toys, role playing, and so forth. Speak to your partner and start having fun again and get creative. And finally, we have dopamine burnout. Now, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and some people call it the pleasure chemical. More accurately, it causes the pursuit of pleasure. Basically gives you drive and motivates you, and it plays a big role in sex drive. For example, cocaine dramatically increases dopamine levels and sensitivity, typically also increases your sex drive and desire for sex. Unfortunately, cocaine causes erection problems due to the excess adrenaline and cortisol and stress output. So that was just one example. These days, many people have just burnt out their dopamine production and receptor sensitivity, too much coffee, not enough sleep, and so forth. But some of the big ones are too much screen time. This can be social media, you're on your phone all the time, you're streaming videos, your Netflix, and so on and so forth. That keeps, hitting your dopamine all day long. Another problem is excess masturbation. Honestly, if you're doing it more than 2-3 times a day, that hits your dopamine levels and then creates prolactin problems and so forth. And finally, one of the worst offenders is watching too much porn. All that variety of porn, all the different options you have online at a fingertip, right, these days, just burns out your dopamine receptors and production, and it creates an unrealistic goal when it comes to actual sex. So my suggestion here is give your dopamine receptors a break. Reduce screen time, social media, and for sure, porn and masturbation. In fact, just stop porn and masturbation for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, and you'll see a dramatic improvement. There's lots of other reasons, again, for erection problems, I'm sure, but one last thing I would like to say is that if you're in an unhappy relationship, if communication is poor, if you have resentment towards the other person or each other, if you don't trust the person, or you've lost respect, it will be obviously much more difficult to get excited and to perform sexually. Your brain is extremely powerful, and it plays a massive role in your desire for your sex and your sex drive and in your ability to perform sexually. I hope this was helpful. Give it a try, give all 5 a try, give 1 a try. More importantly, let me know what you've learned. Let me know what's worked for you. Let me know what you like to improve your libido, your sex drive, and so forth, and to create new variety in the bedroom.